yourself. Cure your greed, purify your wealth. Look around at where you live. Look at all the good you have to give. Give a little of yourself. There's a hand somewhere to hold, a mouth to feed. There's so much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves. Know Allah sees each and every hidden deed. Give a little of yourself.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the Fiqh of Zakah. The Fiqh of Zakah, we are discussing the issue of Zakah totally, what it means, who we give it to, who receives it. To help me go through this and expound upon this, I have with me Sheikh Muhammad Salah. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh, and welcome.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Jamil.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh.
Wa jazakum.
Sheikh, in the previous episodes, we spent some time going through the recipients of Zakah, those who can receive it. We did speak about the 8 categories, and that it's not recommended, or shall we say it's not a compulsory on you to give it to every single person. It can be given to any one of those. You did, of course, say it would be good and better if somebody gives it to the poor, the masakin. A question comes to mind, Sheikh. Is there actually a preference of the type of person you give zakah to, Sheikh?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wal-aqibatu lil-muttaqeen. ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأولين والآخرين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ثم أما بعد. Yes, indeed, there is preference as to whom shall you give your zakah, who has the priority as a recipient. With regards to as-salah, righteousness versus rebelliousness, with regards to al-qarabah versus al-bu'd, kinship, or somebody who's far away, with regards to within the locality or send it abroad. So the Sharia explain in details. For instance, the priority is for your family members who are eligible for the zakah. Because the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, الصدقة على المسكين صدقة. When you give a poor person a charity, this is a sadaqah, you receive its reward. But if this miskin happened to be a miskin and ذو قرابة, your kinship, your cousin, your aunt, your uncles, those who are eligible, because we said the parents and the children and the wife are not eligible for the mandatory sadaqah, for the zakah. Other than that, if you know that your cousin is poor, then the priority is to give your cousin until you satisfy his need from your zakah, before sending your zakah to somebody else or to any other person who's entitled for the zakah. With regards to sadaqat al-tatawwa, or the voluntary charity, likewise, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, I have a dinar, I want to give in a charity. He said, تصدق به على نفسك. تصدق به على نفسك mean give it to yourself as a charity. Because we know that in Islam, when I buy a jubba, when I buy an outfit, when I buy a suit or a shurwal qamis, my clothes is a charity for myself. I give myself a charity. By dressing nicely, this is a charity. By making sure that I live in a good place, this is a charity that I give myself from a lawful earning. He said, I have another one. He said, تصدق به على زوجك. Give it to your wife. He said, I have another one. He said, give it to your son or your children. He said, I have another one. He said, give it to your servant. He said, I have another one. He said, then put it wherever you want to. Afterward, after you take care of yourself, your family members. And that's why a zakah is not compulsory on any person, unless if this person has the basic needs fulfilled. Not only that, and he has an extra, and this extra is a nisab, is a big amount, as we said yesterday, equivalent to $3,300. That's a lot, more than what he really needs. So in this case, the preference is for the qarabah or the kinship, giving your kinship from the zakah is permissible other than the parents, of course, and the children and the wife, and you receive double reward for upholding the ties of kinship and the reward of giving in a charity. Then with regards to as-salah versus al-fisq, it is definitely preferable to put your zakah or sadaqah in the hand of one who is righteous to suffice his need, and instead of putting it in the hand of somebody whom you know that he's a wicked person. It is permissible to give it even to the usah, as long as he's a Muslim. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this is an example of a Muslim. He's a human being, and the iman goes up and down, increases and decreases. So maybe your sadaqah will help him out to improve, to be a better person, to straighten himself. But if this person is very rebellious, and your sadaqah is going to increase his rebelliousness, somebody who's alcoholic and he's poor, I would not give him my charity, because I know that my money would end up buying alcohol or cigarettes or marijuana, or that he's going to date a girl and commit adultery because he's used to that. So then it's preferable to give it to one who's eligible and righteous. What about if this person does not pray? Then definitely I should not give him my sadaqah, because not praying is the biggest sin after shirk. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, العهد الذي بيننا وبينهم الصلاة فمن تركها فقد كفر. This sin can lead to kufr, to disbelief, والعياذ بالله. So giving in a charity should be given the priority to the poor who are righteous as well.
You've got something else to add to that?
The third aspect, which is preference with regards to place, country.
That was the question.
Or locality.
Because we find that in many a country, people see the sufferings of the Muslims, say, abroad in certain parts of the world, and they feel that their zakah is going to do more good in those countries than their own country. Is this something which is applicable, actually?
First of all, there is a general consensus between the scholars that once you suffice the needs of your locality, then you can send the zakah abroad. If nobody is ready to take the zakah, everybody, mashallah, is rich. Could this ever happen? As a matter of fact, it did happen. In the golden times of the Muslim state, for instance, it's not only once or in one place, various places and several times. At the time of the Khilafah of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, may Allah be pleased with him, they could not find a single poor person that who's willing to take the sadaqah. So he started giving the youth from the sadaqah in order to get married. And if somebody does not have a ride, does not own a house, will buy him a house or buy him a ride or get him a khadim. Why? Because people were already self-sufficient, and everyone did not want to take the sadaqah because they did not need it. Sayyidina Mu'adh ibn Jabal sent 1/3 of the zakah which he collected to Umar ibn al-Khattab when he was the Khalifa. He said, what is this, ya Mu'adh? I did not send you to collect a kharaj or jizya, because the jizya is upon non-Muslims. This is a Muslim country. The zakah should be distributed amongst the poor of your people. Don't you remember that the Prophet ﷺ told you, تُؤْخَذُ مِنْ أَغْنِيَائِهِمْ وَتُرَدُّ عَلَى فُقَرَائِهِمْ. Him, the pronoun of the same locality, Muslims of the same locality,
yes,
from the rich and the poor. And عُمَّالُ النَّبِيِّ صلى الله عليه وسلم, the zakah administrators, the Prophet ﷺ used to send, one would go and collect the zakah and would distribute it in the same place and would go home empty hands. He's done his job. But they differ with regards to sending the zakah abroad if the locality is still in need. So Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, said, it is permissible, but it is disliked. The other fuqaha, such as Malik and Abu Hanifa, were more strict in this regard. But there are exceptions, such as, for instance, Abu Hanifa said, unless if you're sending it to your relatives, then this is a legitimate reason.
Okay.
Malik said, it is permissible only if you know that there is another Muslim locality, Muslim country, Muslim neighborhood which is struck with a calamity or a financial disaster or a hurricane or a flood, that they need an immediate help. Or they are in jihad, so they need an immediate help. Or the person is living in a non-Muslim land where if he just leaves the zakah there, it might be ended up in the wrong hand. So he wants to send it to his relatives or in a Muslim country. In this case, it is permissible. From all of that, we understand that the general consensus that we should begin with our locality. Whenever it is sufficient, it is permissible. But if there are needs somewhere else, while there is still in our locality people who deserve the zakah, it is permissible during calamities that affect other Muslim areas, crisis, financial crisis, or if somebody is doing it for a better reason, such as supporting his family or his kinship.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. That's clarified that. A question that comes up, another question regarding the people who are giving the zakah, the way you give it. You spoke about giving it abroad and so forth and giving it to your family. What if somebody actually doesn't give his zakah? He abstains from giving his zakah.
There are many ways that people can really skip the zakah. And obviously, those who try to do that, they do not realize that Islam deals with one's conscience. That's why a true believer will never do that. People nowadays, they're not forced to do or to give the zakah. So somebody can not pay the zakah at all. If this person is living in a Muslim state, he should be forced to pay the zakah or will be taken away from his wealth against his will. As we said before, imagine in today's world, if somebody tried to skip the taxes, what will happen to him? Not only they will take it away and he will be confiscated, he will be arrested, he will be thrown in prison, he will be tried and he will be penalized. All what we need from this rich person is to pay this very little amount, which is the zakah. There is another way to do it, where some people would come before they think that they can outsmart the Sharia.
So they're evading or they're bypassing the Sharia.
Exactly, by evading or trying to evade the zakah. Before the hawl is rounded up and before the zakah is owed, they would come and distribute their wealth, perhaps amongst their children or whatever, to divide it up. Somebody who has 40 sheep, so he will give his son one, or donate one, so that when he passes by the hawl, he recruits it back. So this way he evades paying the zakah. For such people, I remind them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Qalam, إِنَّا بَلَوْنَاهُمْ كَمَا بَلَوْنَا أَصْحَابَ الْجَنَّةِ إِذْ أَقْسَمُوا لَيَصْرِمُنَّهَا مُصْبِحِينَ وَلَا يَسْتَثْنُونَ فطاف عليها طائف من ربك وهم نائمون فأصبحت كالصريم. This is pertaining a story that there is somebody who used to look at the produce of his garden, would divide it into 3 portions. One portion he would give to the poor in a charity, 30%, 33%, 1/3. And one portion would save for himself, his family members, and the third he would invest it back in the garden. So what happened is, when he died, his children said that our father was poor. Our father was full. That why would we have to give the poor, lazy people 1/3 of our earning? You know what? We're not going to give them anything. And since the poor, they were used to come by the end of, or at the time of the harvest or the produce in order to collect their sadaqat, they decided to go early morning before anybody would wake up in order to harvest the garden so that they will deprive the poor from it. At night and before they got up, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a fire against it and it was all ruined and it was reduced to ground. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us that if there is a share or a right of the poor in your wealth and it is not taken out and somebody is trying to evade it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns the person that he is going to destroy his entire wealth.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. With that, we're going to take a short break and return in a couple of minutes. Please do stay with us. on the Fiqh of Zakah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Give a little of yourself. Cure your greed. Purify your wealth.
Back to the Prophet. Join Sheikh Amar in the program Back to the Prophet, wherein he teaches us practical lessons from the Prophet's life and how this can help us to overcome our challenges in the present.
We talk about the life example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, seeking guidance for ourselves. In the early days after the revelation of the Holy Quran, the Muslims were greatly persecuted, so much so that quite a few Muslims had to leave Arabia and migrate to Africa to live among Ahl Kitab, Christian people who followed the gospel of Christ.
Back to the Prophet in Ramadan on Huda TV.
Much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Fiqh of Zakah. Sheikh, just previously we were speaking about again recipients and the ones who are withholding as well, not the ones who are just giving. I've got a question for you which sometimes when we ask, people say, well, how can this happen? And I'm sure people have asked you many a time. Somebody not paying zakah for many years, somebody's been negligent, somebody's not seen the importance, not known, for example, that now, what we explained, the penalty for not giving, and he wakes up and he wants to give. What does this person do, Shaykh?
Tawbah in such case is not sufficient by itself. And it would not be considered as tawbah unless if the person fixes up his mistakes by paying the zakah that he owed on the previous years, even if there were many years, 10, 20 years. Since the year that he owed a zakah because he possessed the nisab, he has to go back to the old books. If he has an accountant, if he keeps record, and sees the net position of every year beyond his basic needs, and look at the nisab that he owned, or the value of all of his possession, and pay the due zakah on it. After that many years, yes, that will be a sign that he is sincere in his repentance. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to a woman who came and said, my mother died and she owed 1 month fasting. Shall I make it up on her behalf? And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, دَيْنُ اللَّهِ أَحَقُّ أَنْ يُقَضَى. After he said that, what if she owed money to somebody? Wouldn't she have to pay it off? She said yes. He said then, Allah's right is more worthy to be fulfilled. And he stated Allah's right, that is the right of the poor. So we have some, it's like when somebody steals.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, oh Allah, I repent unto you and I will never do that again. Is that sufficient? No, you have to give back the money which you stole to their owners. So same thing, you've taken something which is not yours. You have to pay to the poor even after many years.
So does that also include the person who doesn't do it negligently but just never understood that it was something that was ordered upon him? Say somebody who comes, starts practicing again, knows that Allah has ordered him. What does that person do?
There are certain things in the deen which there is no excuse for any person to say, I didn't know, I was not sure, such as prayers, fasting, zakah and hajj. That's called al-ma'lumu min ad-dini bil-darura. Every Muslim, every ordinary Muslim should know the pillars of the deen, what Allah wants from you. I understand that sometimes people were born in Islam, but they were far away from Islam.
Yeah.
Now you started practicing, but there are rights have to be fulfilled. As Salah, if you were not praying before, you don't have to make up what you did not offer for that many years, according to one of the two opinions. One opinion say you have to make it up with each prayer and so on. And I say you start from the scratch with repentance as a new Muslim and increase the nawafil. For as zakah, you have to give the poor the rights which you've confiscated over the many years.
So if say he can't, can there be an estimation in this as well? Can he estimate if he can't, if he doesn't
That
have
is the
books?
only way, obviously. Not everybody
Has
holds
books
the
and-
books and records, but it will be an approximate estimation.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Another question now, which is of course relating, is when the person comes to paying his zakah. Now, like you said, if somebody's farmer has livestock, for example, and he has 40 sheep, he'll be giving one of those sheep. Say he decides not to give that sheep and wants to convert that item into its value.
Okay.
Can he give that value in zakah?
That's a very good question. This is a point that the scholars have discussed in details, whether it is permissible to pay the value instead of the item itself or not, whenever the zakah is owed. Al-Jumhur, Malik, wa Ahmad, wa Shafi'i are of the view that you must give the same items which have been specified by the hadith. We discussed over several episodes that the zakah rate on camels when they reach 5 is 1 sheep. When they reach 25 is bint Makhad or Ibn Labun. When they reach 36. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam specified what should be given as zakah. Same with Sadaqatul Fitr. Specified صاع من تم, صاع من زبيب, صاع من شعير, etc. With regards to cash. With regards to gold and silver. So from every item, whether it's livestock or crops, for instance, the grains and the fruits, as the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, specifying the items from the items. He said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, خُذِ الْحَبَّ مِنَ الْحَبِّ. Take the grains from the grains. Accordingly, Al-Jumhur, based on the explicit text, they said that it is not permissible to pay the value unless if it is not available. The item itself is not available. So in this case, you may give the value. Only Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, who said it is permissible to give the value if that is better for the poor. So he said if the poor doesn't need a sheep, or bint Makhad, or bint Labun, or doesn't need a sa' of food, of grains or raisin, rather if you give him $10, he will be more than happy with that. So he said it is permissible. Obviously, the opinion of Al-Jumhur is much stronger and based on the explicit evidences and the hadith which were narrated from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, now we're going to go into a question which is asked many a time. And people ask this question, Sheikh, is because people are, like you said, very worried sometimes about who they give their zakah to. What if you give your zakah to somebody you think is trustworthy, is a good person, and then you find out later on that this person wasn't actually from those 8 categories?
Yeah.
What onus is it on you as the person who's giving it?
That happens. And I really like the view of Imam Abu Hanifa and his student Muhammad and Al-Hasan as well. Both of them are his students. Where they said the person in this case is free from any blame and his zakah payment is valid. Why? Because according to his best estimate, in best judgment, he thought this person is in need and he's eligible. Somebody came to you and said that my daughter is in the hospital, my wife is giving birth, I need money or else I'll be kicked out of the house. So you did your best and you said, you gave him from the zakah, you thought he is eligible. Later on, next day you saw him that...
driving a Benz or something, Mercedes.
Whatever. It's 600 or 700. What is this? You say, he's a rich man. So does he owe another zakah? Imam Abu Hanifa, Muhammad, Al-Hasan, and others said, يُجِزِئُهُ, that is fine and he doesn't have to repay it again. Based on a couple of references, one which is a hadith narrated by Ma'n ibn Yazid. He said his father took out some donation and some dananir donation. He went to the masjid and he gave them to some guy and said that distribute them. So Ma'n went to the masjid and this guy gave him from the charity. He doesn't know that he is his son, Yazid's son. And he took the dananir and he went home and he was talking to his father. He said, well, this is the money which I just gave in donation.
Mhm.
So they went to the Prophet ﷺ to judge between them whether what Ma'an did is right, and whether it's his right to take this charity which his father just gave, but his intention was to give to somebody else or not. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لَكَ يَا مَعْنْ مَا أَخَذْتْ وَلَكَ يَا يَزِيدُ مَا نَوَيْتْ. Your intention is your intention, Yazid. You intended to give it to the poor other than your son. So your intention is valid. Even though this hadith is pertaining the voluntary charity, but by analogy, it can be applied to the mandatory as well. And he said to Ma'an, since you're eligible, take it. Since you're poor and you can take it, even though it's coming from your father, but he did not intend so. Also, there is another very interesting hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu arda. He said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, a man said, لَأَتَصَدَّقَنَّ اللَّيْلَةَ بِصَدَقَةٍ. Somebody made a vow that at night I will go out and I will give in a charity. فَخَرَجَ بِصَدَقَةٍ. He went out. فَوَضَعَهَا فِي يَدِ سَارِقٍ. He gave somebody his sadaqah, and that person happened to be a thief. So in the morning, people started talking, تُصُدِّقَ اللَّيْلَةَ عَلَى سَارِقٍ. You know what? Somebody gave a charity to that thief last night. فَقَالَ اللَّهُمَّ لَكَ الْحَمْدُ لَأَتَصَدَّقَنَّ بِصَدَقَةٍ. Alhamdulillah, tonight I shall give another sadaqah. So he went at night and he put the sadaqah in the hand of somebody who happened to be a zaniya, an adulteress. And in the morning, people started talking about it. So he said, Alhamdulillah, لَأَتَصَدَّقَنَّ اللَّيْلَةَ بِصَدَقَةٍ. Once again, I will give in a charity in the evening. So he went out and he put it in the hand of somebody. In the morning, they were talking about, somebody give a sadaqah to that rich man. So he gave in the first night to a thief, the second night to an adulteress, and the third to a rich man. فَأُتِيَ, like in his night vision, an angel came to him and he was told that with regards to your charity, it has been accepted. Even though you give it to a thief, an adulteress, and to a rich man. And there is a dual benefit, because perhaps your sadaqah to the thief would make him quit, and to the zaniya will make her repent, and to the rich will encourage and motivate him to give in a charity. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Muhammad, for all your advice today. Barakallah feekum. As you can see, we've come to an end, another episode of Fiqh of Zakah. Information which is vital for all of us in this day, how to give our zakah, and of course, how to distribute the zakah. Until next time, I leave you with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Give a little of yourself. Cure your greed, purify your wealth. Look around at where you live. Look at all the good you have to give. Give a little of yourself. There's a hand somewhere to hold, a mouth to feed. There's so much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves. Know Allah sees each and every hidden deed.